What's going on, everyone? Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant experiment has been an absolute disaster and has reached its full boiling point. I mean, you can't write a worse story than this whole Brooklyn experiment, right? Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, team up, go to Brooklyn, all looks right in the world. They're immediate contender. People are talking about how, they're going to win several championships and, they just got to get healthy. Kevin Durant's recovering from an Achilles. He comes back. He looks like he never even missed a day. He looks like the superstar he's always been. Kyrie Irving's balling, all of that stuff. They end up toe on the line, losing to the Bucks. And it's like, oh, look, this team looks great. And now we get to this point and both players are gone. KD wants the entire organization fired. So does Kyrie Irving, based on reports. I'll even link that video down in the description below. Check it out after this video. But it's just been an absolute mess. The Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant couldn't have gone worse. The only thing the Brooklyn Nets got out of this situation is one playoff series win. One. Not a run to the Western or to the Eastern Finals, not a run to the NBA Finals, nothing. Literally, they got one playoff win, and then their experiment ended in a sweep to the Boston Celtics. They went through, James Harden. James Harden gets there. They go and trade for James Harden. They mortgage their entire future for James Harden, or at least the next 7 years between all the picks that Houston owns and then the pick swaps. And the beauty is, if you're Houston, they didn't protect any of those picks. So now you're in a real mess. And James Harden gets there. Everyone's like, is this the greatest big three ever? You got three of the best scorers. They're the favorites to win the championship. And that lasted about a week. And James Harden immediately wanted out. He was gone. He ends up leaving, goes to Philly, and you end up with Ben Simmons. And guess what Ben Simmons does? He doesn't play at all for you. And there's even a report that Ben Simmons, when asked if he was going to play in game 4 or whatever, he just hangs up on the conference call with all the players. And Kevin Durant's like, okay, this is ridiculous. I'm out of here. It's just, you couldn't make up a bigger mess. It's almost comedic, but it's kind of sad. I really feel bad for Brooklyn. Imagine being the team that lost Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden in a calendar year. Imagine a team that had all this promise and all this stuff, and just they didn't get anything out of it, but setting their franchise back for the next 7 years. And look, as much as as easy as it is to just poke fun and just trash the Brooklyn Nets, I don't really knock them for going all in. Any team would have done that. To go get Kyrie and KD, nobody thought that this was going to be the blow-up disaster that it's been. And pretty much every team in the league would have gotten those two if they could have. And then to be able to go and get James Harden, again, every team would have done that if they were in that position. Because if you can pair up Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, on paper, at least, it sounds like a team that is literally unbeatable. And when they all played together, they were essentially. I mean, they were They were 17-2 at one point when all three of them played together. Something crazy like that. So they were a proven commodity. It just, James Harden just didn't like the situation. He didn't like the unreliability of Kyrie Irving and just the structured organization. It was just an absolute mess, and there was no real culture. And James Harden was like, I want out. And the only option really was Philadelphia. And that's where James Harden wanted to go. And so the Nets had to take Ben Simmons. And the hope was that maybe KD and Kyrie can stay. If we can get Philly Ben Simmons there, then those three, they're a legit contender. Well, that went all down the drain when Sean Marks decided not to give Kyrie Irving a max extension. Kyrie Irving was like, I'm going to the Lakers. And then Kevin Durant is now forced into trade and said, I want to be traded. And then they met and they tried to hope maybe KD will stay. And nope, that didn't happen. KD talked to Joe Tsai and Kevin Durant said, hey, you got two options. Trade me or fire the GM and the head coach, because I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around. I don't want to do this. And now Joe Tsai says, no, I ain't doing that. You're gone. Trade him. Joe Tsai is a billionaire businessman. This guy knows what it's like to lose in bad investments and you cut your losses and move on. That's what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were. It was a bad investment. All investments look good, otherwise you wouldn't make the investment, right? You have an opportunity to invest into something, you think it's a great idea, right? Nobody invests in something that looks like a total disaster. And that's what he did. He invested in KD and Kyrie, which, like I said, every team would have bought in stock in that. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And now Joe Side's going to cut his losses and move on. He's not going to get rid of Sean Marks. You're going to get back some quality package for Kevin Durant in this deal. I mean, you're going to get something like Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and a handful of picks, or, a Derek White also, and like 2 or 3 picks. Like, you're going to get enough to at least be competitive in the Eastern Conference. You're going to trade Kyrie Irving to the Lakers. You're going to get some assets in that. Maybe you can even swing a deal to try to get Miles Turner if the Indiana Pacers deal really is on the table, and you make it work. And if you can start this season with like a Marcus Smart, Seth Curry, Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons, and Miles Turner, that is a really good starting 5 in the NBA period, but especially in the Eastern Conference. And you still have TJ Warren, Patty Mills, you still have all of these guys, Nick Claxton, that can be good for you. And you're still like 8 to 10 players deep. You're gonna be in a good run. You're gonna make the playoffs, which the Brooklyn Nets need to do. No matter how you shake it, this was a disaster. And now look, Kevin Durant hasn't been traded yet, neither has Kyrie. But how do you salvage this at this point? There's no way you're going into training camp with these two guys. There is no way you're starting this season with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. There's just no way. You're gonna get a Kevin Durant might not even show up to training camp. He might just say, "I'm not coming. I told you to trade me. You don't want to trade me? You don't want to fire Steve Nash? You don't want to fire Sean Marks? I ain't going to kill myself for you." Like, it's not going to happen. And then Kyrie Irving, he's not going to play. Ben Simmons, you don't even know if he's going to play. At this point, you got to cut your losses and move on. That's it. Kevin Durant forced your hand. That's it. He called your bluff. And now you have no choice. Your hands are tied. You got to go. You got to trade Kevin Durant for the best package available. And you got to trade Kyrie Irving. But unfortunately for you as a Brooklyn Net, the only team that wants Kyrie is the Lakers. So you don't have a ton of leverage there. I still believe they have some leverage in the KD deal. Not as much as they did a month ago. But, I just think that overall, from top to bottom, this was a total disaster. I do believe if Sean Marks just gave Kyrie Irving the max extension, none of this would have happened. I don't blame Sean Marks for not giving him the max extension, but the reality is like, if you would have just done that, this probably wouldn't have happened. It's been a mess from top to bottom. I don't really blame Sean Marks. Sean Marks did what most GMs would have done. Give in all demands, give whatever these players want, do what you have to do. And now Kevin Durant's going to Boston and Kyrie's going to the Lakers. That's just what I see this heading to. And, I just think that Sean Marks did the best he could with what he had, but was he perfect? No. It was a mess. Steve Nash hasn't been the best coach for them and hasn't really been able to show that he's the best coach. And Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, you gave them too much power and it blew up in your face. And now you're in a position to where it's like, what are you going to do? You just got to cut your losses and move on and learn from your mistakes, learn from your lessons. If Kyrie Irving, if you would have just gave him the max, he probably would have stayed. Wouldn't have been the best decision, but you already invested so much. So it's like, what was the plan? You had to have known that Kevin Durant was gonna want to leave because of what happened. It just doesn't make any sense to think otherwise. And now you blew any opportunity to win a championship with this core. Because there's just no way you can bring these two back. You have to trade them at this point. And so Sean Marks has to get back the best package available for Kevin Durant. Because that's where you're going to get the assets. And you're going to get great value for Kevin Durant, regardless. Even you could lose all your leverage, and you're still getting a great package for Kevin Durant. Just because it's Kevin Durant. So Brooklyn's going to be in a solid position. They're not going to be contenders, but they can't be much worse than this team's been the last few years. Like I said, they were a play-in team last year, got swept in the first round of the playoffs. As long as you don't get swept, if you just win one game, you're better than this team was last year. So all in all, I think Brooklyn's still going to be in a good place, but I just think Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they're gone. You break up the team, you move on, you cut your losses. You just accept it as just a mess all across the board from an organizational standpoint to a player standpoint. And hopefully you learned your lesson for the future. But as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What did you think of this? Do you agree with me? This was a total disaster. I mean, James Harden, Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, all are very likely gone. I mean, Ben Simmons you probably keep and hope you get the most out of it. Plus, his trade value is non-existent. Who's trading for Ben Simmons at this point when you don't even know if he's going to play? But like I said, I mean, if you get a good deal in the Celtics trade for Kevin Durant, you still got Ben Simmons. If you could swing a deal and go get Miles Turner, then I think you have a great defensive and offensive team. You're basically Boston a couple years ago. Is basically what that was. And they went to like the Western Conference Finals. So I think if you're Boston, that's your best bet. Or sorry, if you're the Nets, your best bet is Boston. Go and do that trade. But however you feel about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this dedicated to only the Lakers because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.